Okay, guys, here we go. Man, Nordic's just waiting for something to happen. Welcome to Taco Brad. Won't be working on any Soviets at this moment, but we've got all kinds of Shermans ahoy here. How goes it down in Hurricaneville? Not yet. It keeps turning, and the more it keeps turning, the better it is for us. So this is what we have been itching to do. This is what we've been itching to do. And well, we've got half tracks here, so it's not all Shermans, and there's a mixture of scales here. This thing is a behemoth, but we're not going to do it first. We're going to do these boring ones that don't have any detail. That's what we're going to do first, even though we've got one of these already painted in the primer colored. It's a little smaller. This is an M4 from Plastic Soldier Company, and we've got some stuff specifically for it, and that's what we're probably gonna. I'll keep this one handy. This is probably going to be the second one I do. So let's hop to it, and I'm going to follow the recipe that somebody did. I'm getting the olive drab, and I like how it turned out for them. That doesn't mean that I'll like it, but on paper it looks like it's pretty good. Always one of those elusive colors. Couple things that we're going to need to do. Let's grab a couple shims too while we're at it. Different sizes, and let's see which one of these is going to fit the best for the base on here. Let's see what we did for these other vehicles. I think I had it extended all the way around. So I kind of want to be consistent. Okay, well, thanks for coming by. That will help keeping me company. That will definitely keep me on track. So this is a BT7 that I did, and same shim material. We rounded the corners. We put a magnet on the bottom. So if you got to transport them, you can put them on one of the trays, and they really don't move around much. This is a bigger one. Well, we better save this for a big vehicle. I think we can get by with. We can certainly get by with it for this one. Yeah, this should be fine. It doesn't have to be super precise. If I end up, I've got a lot of them that are this length. So if I want to do more overhang, then I'm going to have to cut into these big ones, which I don't have a whole lot of. So I think we're going to go with this size. I think I like that size. Okay, let's grab one for it and one for the other one. We can just go ahead and use that one on that side. I'll keep this handy, put these away. I don't want to have too much stuff out here, or I'm going to be really distracted. So I had an interesting thing that happened over the convention. I still haven't posted the results, and I'm kind of doing that on purpose because that's actually something I can do technically when I have no power. So I'm kind of leaving it for that. Let's get us some sandpaper. So I'm kind of doing that on purpose. Because like what I'm doing right now, I won't be able to do that. I won't be able to do this if I have no power. I don't know that it's going to be that bad, but myself an hour. And honestly, it's a whole lot of work posting the results. Well, one of the things that I had happen, I've never seen happen, is somebody walked off with one of the awards. Oh wow, everybody showed up. Just when you think you have enough Sherman tanks, you should get more. Yeah. Okay, you can barely hear me. All right, well, let me tinker with that then. Good, that's good to know. Because we had a... let's see. Where is that screen? This one. Here we go. Let's try that. Let's see if that's better. Let me know if that's better. Should be a little bit better. I had it turned all the way up, and I think I've tinkered trying to do this live and also trying to do the video game. There's two different sound things that are quite different from each other. And I don't want to deafen anybody. And hopefully that's not the case. Okay. All right, so let me make a note here. Actually, I'm going to turn it up a little bit higher because right now it's at negative 2.2 decibels. So what if I just... let's dial it up to even. All right. I'll try to cut the corners here. 45-degree angle. Does this count as counter clipping? When I was into board games, counter clipping didn't exist. Nobody did that. I actually like the way it looks. A lot. Volume's good, okay. I actually turned it down before I went on because I didn't want to deafen anybody. I can't, you know, it might seem strange to you guys, but I actually can't do a test run for whatever reason. It won't let me do a fake start, test everything. We just kind of have to do it on the fly, and your feedback is important for that, so. All right, so this should be a pretty good base for this guy right here. Okay, and this is a Corgi Sherman tank, and it's all die cast here. The turret is plastic. Nothing opens or anything, but we're gonna give this some TLC. Make sure that we do it. I believe this was spray painted, and this is probably spray painted probably 25 years ago, honestly. I've got I actually had to look online to find out how you dissolve epoxy. I've got something I picked up that is, it's a vehicle. I don't want to help the Red Army do anything other than die. This does count as counter clipping. Okay. You find a pair of tweezers that open wider than the one I have. I'm getting annoying of moving stacks of counters. So Sherman's to help the Red Army. No, I don't do Soviet Shermans. I don't do Soviet Shermans. Actually, you know, I'm actually not completely opposed to Soviet Shermans. I'm opposed to a couple things. One of them I'm opposed to doing is Polish Liberation Soviet vehicles and Czech Liberation Soviet vehicles. It just feels dirty. It just feels like, you know, oh yeah, come help us, and then at the last minute they're going to come and bend you over. Like, no, I don't really care for that. I don't mind doing the Soviet vehicles, but I don't want the fake, the fakery. Well, you're going to have to avert your eyes there, Nordic, because there's going to be a lot of Soviet vehicles coming, unfortunately. Okay, so a couple things that we need to do with that one, but not this one. We're going to have to drill out the antenna, which I believe is back here. We'll take some references. These are like, this is like 176, so this is 172nd. I don't care about using them together. It doesn't really bother me. Maybe other people can't sleep at night, but it doesn't bother me that much. So that's what we're going to need to do to that one. And then this one, I'm going to use the same size stand, and I'm not going to have a problem with it. See if we can do this at one go. So I actually had a something that happened with something that I picked up, and I didn't know that was the case. You need something to shoot at. Well, you know, the Germans aren't much better. I mean, sure, they got cooler camouflage and cooler uniforms, but they're dickheads too. Okay, we're going to keep this stuff. We might need to use these for motorcycles or something like that. Yep. Clip the corners off this one. So I had a vehicle that I picked up, and I had an interesting thing that came up. Maybe you guys can help me out. What am I using for these stands? These are shims from work. So they're basically to put concrete on top of, so they're not going to give. You know, they have a little bit of flexibility to them. So, but I had an interesting thing that I picked up. Let me see if I can describe it. This is true, but I'm German, so I'd rather not overly kill my own people. Okay, so I have a vehicle that I basically got, and it was like this. Okay. The front is the back, and the back is the front, and it's epoxied down. And it is separate two pieces, so I'm like, okay, there's got to be a way to unepoxy it. And I look around on the internet for a while, and it said acetone. So I've got some nail polish that's supposed to be 100% acetone, and I'm soaking it right now. It is it's a vehicle like this, but basically the person had glued the front to the back and the back to the front. So like, for instance, these mufflers you see here, see these mufflers on the back? They're actually up here on the vehicle, and it's back asswards. And so I need to loosen it up, and I'm soaking that in acetone, and hopefully by tomorrow it'll be loosened up. But the epoxy's on real thick. So I don't know if it'll actually give at some point, or I'm just going to have to just deal with it, which I don't know if I'm going to be able to, because the idler wheel's backwards as well. So we'll see how that goes. I'm actually going to have to take this stuff off. But any of you guys had any experience with how to loosen up epoxy? I looked for it online, and I couldn't do anything other than come up with that. And this little turret, this little gun that's moving up and down, we're gonna shut that thing up. Oh, that'll work too. Oh, this is brittle as shit. I've had this stuff for a long time. I just want to mainly get the paint off. Okay. Let's do a couple things. First thing we're going to do is let me get my drill bit. Which I believe I put down here when I cleaned this area up. It's not plastic, it's white metal. It's white metal. All right, let's go get our Sherman tank book. There's other references. You can go on the internet and stuff like that, but let me get my squadron signal Sherman book. Sherman in action. Okay. And that is correct. That's where the antenna goes. Yeah, it's basically this vehicle right here. This tank, this M4A3, is this one. I mean, I'm not going to paint it that way. I'm not going to put a big bad wolf on it. Classy peg. As my wife says, if you have to call something classy, it probably isn't. Her words, not mine. Let's, this should be plastic. Yeah. Okay, that's overkill. Could be metal. Not likely. It is. Okay, well, we don't have to have an antenna on there. It isn't, we're not going to enter an IPMS thing for this. It is a wargaming model. So we can always drop some epoxy on there afterwards. Okay. This one, on the other hand, does not have a ball machine gun mount. So I believe I've got some green stuff. I've got some green stuff cannonballs laying up here. I thought I had one. Here it is. And here's another one. And here's another one. And certainly one of these epoxied in there should be about the right size. Maybe that one. Let's take a look at a picture of one of them. That's an armor cast. Okay, it's pretty small. But it's pretty noticeable thing on the front of a Sherman. Let's do a couple things. Let's make a couple of them. We're going to need two. Epoxy putty. Something I rarely ever use. Yeah, it's not the paint. I don't need to get the paint off. I need to unepoxy it. You could try velocity versus hard surface, but I would see some damage to the subject. Pine saw will, yeah. I can strip it. I got this stuff called orange something that actually works pretty good. It's what I've used to the couple of die-cast vehicles I've done for Gaslands. It actually worked really well, and it's called orange something or another, And it actually smells pleasant-ish. And it's like a paste. So you don't have to like put it in something and like submerge it. Right now I've got it submerging in acetone. And that's what I read online that should loosen up the epoxy. Yeah, it's basically like this. It's got a piece of epoxy on either side. The problem is it's glued back assward. So the idler wheel should be in the front and it's in the back. And then on top of that, it's glued when you glue the center hole is flipped also. So it's like a triple whammy. So I need it to come loose, or I'm just not going to mess with it. You know, I don't need to take the paint off. And actually, the paint on it's not very thick. It's just it's back assward. So it's like it's driving around with the mufflers in the front. You know? You have some armor cast models. They're fairly decent and very basic models. Well, I got something cool to show you while I'm kneading this together that you might get a kick out of. And this is stuff that came in the mail while I was working on the Huns. And this is available on eBay from a company called Value Gear. Hence why the tag says Value Gear. And one thing I didn't know is you can use water to help you out so it doesn't stick. I had no idea that would work. Let's let this set a little bit. So what this is cool is this is a bunch of like little bits and packs and stuff on there. So we're gonna make them cool. So this one that has nothing on it, we're gonna add some little packs and stuff on there. I don't think I'm gonna do it until the actual Sherman is painted on this one because I'm not sure how this coloration is gonna work. To be honest with you, I'm literally gonna follow somebody's suggestion, and I may actually come up with my own that I like better. But this is actually specific for the armor cast Shermans and specific for the M4 armor cast Shermans. And what this is, make sure I grab the right one because these things have a fair amount of flash. It is sandbag fronts for them. Okay. And yeah, and actually it comes in a pack and there's 4 of them. So every single one of them is different. As you can see, there's a different one there. There's a different one there. This one doesn't, this one has like the, it has an idler wheel on there for extra protection, which is not uncommon to be seen. These two do not have them, but they're not the same. And neither is this other one that does have an idler wheel hanging out in here. So I'm going to use this one that's already been messed with. I trimmed it up, but you need to, you know, kind of test fit it. And there's also logs that go on the side. So even though this one doesn't have anything on it, I'm probably going to glue some logs on here for, you know, some extra protection. We won't do the front because they don't fit on everything. They're specifically made for the M4 armor fast because there's different ones on there, but we need a ball mount for that machine gun. So that's what we are needing to do, literally. And we might as well do the other one. And while I'm thinking about it, I need to, I do need to find some finer sandpaper, which I'm sure is here, because I need to take care of something else while I'm at it. But this isn't going to be I got to get these done by a certain time. This is, they'll get done when they get done. And I don't plan on starting something new until this is done. Here we go. Here's that wet, dry sandpaper. It's really fine. I got all this stuff all over the place. I just gotta find it. I ain't messed with this stuff for years. What's the name of that company? Value Gear. Super hyped. Finally get to pick up my car tomorrow. Took the day off work. Taking a Wednesday off, huh? And the M4 has them. The M4 has the antenna in the same place, doesn't it? I bet it does. See if there's a... I'm pretty sure it's universal. Yeah. Okay, so this one should be all plastic. So we should be able to drill it out. Put a whip antenna on there. Okay, and there is no coax machine gun hole. I know I'm being anal. Hey, listen, it needs to have one. How the hell are they going to fire a coax machine gun without the hole there? And it's actually on the right-hand side. That's one thing that's not consistent between all vehicles. Some vehicles have the coax machine gun on one side, and other ones have it on another. So the coax machine gun hole should be in the middle. Not really, it's over a little bit. It's like here. We need to ditch this one because I am poking the living hell out of my finger doing this. And I'm not going to cut any holes for the gun sight. That's taking things too far. But we definitely we're going to put a little piece of sprue there with a machine gun sticking out. Okay, because that's a weapon. We need to have all our weapons correct. Okay, and while I'm at it, this actually makes a big difference. You don't have to drill it all the way through, but just put a little bit of a divot so that it ends up looking like it's got a hole there. And we've got the antenna. Okay, so that thing's good to go. All right. Where's the ball mount machine gun epoxy thing? Okay. Let's cut a tiny little piece off. And then we're going to do the same with the other Sherman. But I have an interesting problem with the other Sherman. It's that this piece that's the mantlet, I lost it. So I'm going to try to replace it with another mantlet of another Sherman whenever I get around to getting more. Which may be a while. If you saw my unboxing video, I got more tanks than I know what to do with. I got more tanks than I know what to do with. But we're not going to start painting a bunch of stuff. We're going to be methodical. Okay, it's about the right size. All right, we're going to let that harden up. It's about the same as that size as that other one. Okay, so we got 2 of them. Because I am going to go ahead and put the ball mount on it, even though later we'll mess with the turret at a later date. Show gets real bad. There's someone named Rick on the show. Yeah. Yeah, that show pretty much went to shit when they left when the 2 most experienced people. I used to watch it with Mitch, and we would yell at the TV like, "You're an idiot," you know. Yeah, nobody needs to watch that show. It's basically a waste of somebody's lifetime. The only reason I watched that show is everybody was watching that show, but the priest is worthless and doesn't get killed. You can't understand anything Daryl says. I remember there's a conversation I were watching one time, a conversation between Carol, which really was kind of a cool character. She really turned her situation around, and she was whispering, and Daryl was talking in, you know, the language that he speaks. And I'm like, what the hell are they even saying? You know? Even this is 2. It still scratches too much. Now, one thing I don't like about these is these have sand shields, which had to be installed, I understand, on the tank by contract. But as soon as they showed up in the field, the crews were like, man, just take this shit off before we end up having a problem with these. So they took them off. I'm not going to take them off. That's a ton of extra work for no value whatsoever. And since these are about the same size, I don't have a problem gluing the old one, and we're going to end up drilling it out for the machine gun that's going to go in there. And then we'll have 2 pieces of sprue. And I've got to remember how to do sprue, which I haven't done in, I don't know, 30 years. Made stretch sprue. I don't even know if I have a lighter. But the base will end up getting fully done, say like something like this. And then we'll epoxy this thing down. Because once you glue this thing down, you can't get to stuff underneath there, and you're playing it. You're doing the game within the game. It's really quite annoying. All right, so we were going to put this here. I like this one. I like that one with the idler wheel. Looks like it fits on there pretty well. It's like trim and test fit. All right, let's see. How can the best character of a show be called Glenn? Glenn. Glenn is like the male version of Gwendolyn or something like that. I don't know. You guys need to get a room. That show went to shit when they got rid of the governor. I like the governor. But then again, I like, what's his face? David Morrissey. The first season of Walking Dead was good, where you're trying to figure out what happened. And yeah, well, the two most experienced guys go on a supply run and they get their vehicle stolen from them. They're freaking idiots. That's just, there's no way those guys would have survived. I don't know, what, 5 years or something like that? I'd be a hell of a lot more paranoid than that. Okay, we're fitting good there. How are we doing over here? It's fitting pretty good. All right, and when we put that little ball mount, we got to make sure that we're going to actually have to tip that machine gun up a little bit so it doesn't run into this. But you can probably, we can probably go ahead and epoxy that. And I'm actually going to put, let's put one of these that has the 3 logs on it. Let's clean up one of these 3 loggers. Two and a half years on zombie apocalypse. At that point, I am at that episode, and I called it quits. Yeah, it sucks. It just turned into, you know, I mean, I wanted to watch the show because it's like, all right, a group of people have, there's no rules, right? You have to make up your own morality. You have to make up your own rules. And, you know, maybe they go someplace and you're wondering what conditions this in. The Atlanta one was really cool. What, season 1, where they went into that department store and there was like clothes still in it. And, you know, you have a failed civilization and there is signs of civilization doesn't exist anymore. And they have to try to make things work with no power and stuff like that. And it's kind of, you know, like a puzzle. And hold on one second. So, you know, that's the appeal for me, is they got to get all this stuff to work. There's no rules. You come up with your own morality and stuff like that. The zombies, they're not really that big of a part of the thing, even though it is all about zombies. It's really not. That's really not the thing, because they don't really provide a challenge. They're the slow zombies, right? So it's not like they're going to overwhelm you. But season 1 was excellent. Season 2, I couldn't wait for them to get out of that damn farmhouse. It was just boring. The governor and the interaction with the governor was awesome. And after the governor, it was okay for maybe a season or something like that. And then it just went sideways. They got that priest. You know, people that, I don't have a whole lot of respect for people that it's like, okay, it's time to, I understand you're a pacifist, okay? But it's time to step up or you're going to die. And if people don't step up like that and defend themselves, you're not gonna make it, you know? You're not gonna make it. Show went to be about zombies, humans versus humans with zombies in the background. And it turned into a bunch of tattletaling. Like, oh, let me go talk to her. She looked at me funny. I don't know, she's hoarding all the toothbrushes. I don't know, I'm gonna go talk to somebody else about that. Hey, you'll never believe what so-and-so told me. It's like freaking kindergarten, man. I was like, what is this middle school freaking game? You know? It just turned into a bunch of tattletales. And it was like, there was like no aha moments in it. So this is what this thing's gonna look like. Oh, stop. Stop falling down. And yes, it'll have a nickname. We ain't figured it out what it is yet. We ain't done figured it out. Okay. I really don't want to use super glue. I don't trust super glue with a damn. It's too brittle. Take nothing for it to break off. And this is resin, so it's not going to glue on there. Let's get the, I guess I should do a better job of cleaning this out. That show turned into worse than the last season of Game of Thrones. I actually found one person that actually liked the last season of Game of Thrones over the weekend. I hate it when somebody hoards all the toothbrushes. That when somebody puts ketchup on my hamburger. I hate ketchup more than communists. It's close, but... I'd rather put a communist in my mouth. God, I hate ketchup. Good Lord. All right, let's get Captain Epoxy out. Oh. First arts, those guys have been around forever. I was back when you could make molds out of plaster Paris. Plaster of Paris. Why'd they pick that French city? Plaster of Marseille. Plaster of Rouen. So I'm going to try that acetone to try to budge that. Otherwise, I am up a creek. I guess I could just use it as is, but I have to deal with a backwards idler wheel, and I could probably deal with the mufflers up front because I could probably deal with a muffler up front because I could put some extra tracks or cut them off or something like that. But I'm not worried about taking the paint off of a lot of these things. The paint's got to be really, really thick for it to be a problem, and I already have stuff that can do that actually smells okay. Okay, like I said, it's a paste. It's a paste like this that you put on it, and so you can just cover everything, and it's not like you've got to leave it soaking in something. All right, we're gonna go ahead and, you know what? I better do this for good measure. Add some texture to it so it could have some grippage. And we already did that here on that one. So we'll flip this over. We want it like this to the front. Okay. This side towards enemy. All right, let's get my tweezer. We've been using the tweezer so much on these model kits. Since the Great British dropped in comparison to the GBP. I've always heard it called, what is it? Pound sterling. There's the pound sterling. Very nice. All right. We're going to have that there. You get out of the way. This is the one that we fixed up, right? We're going to put it damn near everywhere on here. Ah, poopy diaper. Of all the places I could have grabbed. All right, you rat bastard. I can fix mistakes. I'd just rather not make them to begin with. Not exactly a fantasy of mine to do shit wrong. And we've got decals that came in also. All right. Do we have a little bit of this left? Probably. All right. That's the one we were making. Okay, so this one's the one already made. And when that dries, we'll actually drill this and we'll put a piece of sprue in there. And we'll have a machine gun there, and we'll have a machine gun on the side of the hull. And we'll have a radio antenna here. And, all right, so let's look at the baggage. Let's look at the baggage. That's what this is, and it actually sent me another bag of it. This is for Allied bits. I guess they took a picture of a lot of Allied stuff. Yeah, I don't want them on both sides. I don't want the logs on both sides because I'm going to put the white star on this side. I don't want them on both sides of it. Everyone's going to be different. Let's see what we got in here. Let's throw this away. Let's see what we got here. So we could put something like that towards the back. Now, will the turret spin all the way back? Yes, it's unlikely that I'm going to take a shot at something behind me, but it could happen. That one's too big. What else do we have in here? Let's just put all these together. Come on. Come on, little guys. What do we got here? Do we have any repeat stuff? It almost looks like there isn't any. We got some bed rolls here. We got some of this stuff like these. Little packs. Jerry can. Of course, they have flash, so you're looking at something that... Ammo boxes. Let's make sure we don't have any repeats here. I think all of this, and they actually make 2 sets of this stuff. What the hell is this? Actually, I think every single one of these is different. That's pretty freaking cool. Some of these I'm going to put like something like this. See this bed rolls? These are for the half tracks. So I'm going to take these die cast half tracks. These will be redone. Which, by the way, scale out to 1/72 scale almost perfectly. And we're going to glue them back like up here. And one may just have one on one side, one may have another one. You know, they don't have to be all Gypsy Caravan-ish. But just enough of a variety so that if you have 2 of the same vehicle, they don't look the same. You know, just enough of a variety of them. Guess that tank will only make... Well, you know, they have armor. It's not like they don't have armor on it. And it's questionable whether that was even that helpful. It was mostly for morale. I'm going to put this one on it. I like this one. I actually like them all. I got to save this stuff for all the vehicles because I think I got plenty of them here to handle most of them. Let's see. It's not that big of a problem. I can pick it up. It's going to be loose. It's unlikely he's going to get a shot on his rear. If he does, you're probably doing something wrong. I know you're doing something wrong. We're going to keep that box here towards the front, so I don't want it towards the back like it's about to fall off the vehicle. Okay, how does this... Let's mix us up another batch. Only thing I don't like about epoxying is it just takes a little while to get the stuff to come out to the front. But I probably have had these 2 bottles every bit of 15 years. And I use it a lot, but there's plenty more. Okay, where's the one that we were doing? Here? Yeah. Now, let me put my glasses on and see what I'm looking at. You're gonna add string to act as rope? No. This is not IPMS. Jesus. You see how many vehicles I have? Absolutely not. Nope. Nope. Ain't gonna do it. You're lucky to get antennas. Okay. So that's this guy complete. That's all we're gonna do to this one. Now, let's move to, well, other than we're going to put some sprue in there. Okay, so we've got this one here. Now we've got this die cast one. It's an M4A3. I bet the machine gun's in the same place. You know, at the end of the day, they're toys because you can see the machine gun is molded into the hull. It is not separate. So, you know, I'm just going to have to paint it like that isn't an issue. Let's see. This is an M4A3. Same place. All right. So let's grab our lead drill bit. You know, I'm not going to put logs on this one. And then I have another one, I may put logs on it. A couple things I need to do. First of all, is that rubbing on that? I think it is. So let's take some of this epoxy. Let's be careful how we do this. Where is the drill bit? Here it is. Even with the gun. Off to the side here and not in the center. This one doesn't have a ventilator. This has ventilator stuff back here. We're going to leave stuff off this one for the moment being. I can always add it afterwards. But this is just one set. And they actually have two of them for Allied vehicles. Okay. Now, question is this stuff glued on yet? I'm going to assume that it is. Let me see if I can find a lighter. Be right back. Now, I threw a bunch of it away, I gotta find some sprue, which shouldn't be difficult. And I'm probably gonna botch this the first time I do it, because I haven't done it in a long time. I got plenty of sprue. Let me just, I'll use the one out of this set. I thought I had more than that. We got tons of it here. Okay, we'll use the one from the Hasegawa Panzer IV. But for whatever reason, it gives you another hull. Obviously, we're not interested in the hull. Let's throw that back in the box. I'm gonna show you guys something cool. I don't know if you've seen this before. I've actually never tried to do this with this particular type of lighter, so worst thing that could happen, I catch the whole house on fire. Well, in a couple of days we'll get plenty of rain and we'll put it out. I'm gonna go ahead and break this off, which I should have just used that snip. Which I never had one of these when I'm doing models, never. What period am I going to paint these tanks for? These guys are going to be for France. I think when I do the British Shermans, I think they'll be for Italy. These are going to be for France. Okay, so I have a thing here. This is a rechargeable lighter called an atomic lighter. And I'm not sure how my wife got it, but check this out. So I should be able to maybe I'm gonna get a match. Actually, I need to get some glasses and see what the hell I'm doing. Bubblehead.com. Yeah, I really didn't want to get a regular match. Let's get a bigger piece. Thing is if you get one piece, you can do a lot of things with just one piece of sprue. And every plastic is different. Amusing, huh? I don't think this is... I think I'm gonna have to go to using a regular one. No. Either this... Well, that's super fine. But that's too fine for anything else. All right. F that. I have something that I've had a long time and I've never used it. And now is the time to use it. Actually, I don't even know how I got this. It's basically brass wire. Here it is, down here at the bottom. Why are there figures inside of here? I actually don't know how I came across this. I'm not a fan of brass wire. Yeah, I can't do it with that. I can't do it with that lighter. Yeah, I can't. It doesn't have a flame. It doesn't have a flame that goes out. It's like basically like a bullseye. Okay, this should be able to work okay. Yep. Yep. I don't think we have a standard lighter here. Nobody smokes anything. Alright, well I got one piece out of it. I'd use a conventional candle. But the plastic's old, it's not behaving like it used to. Alright. Let's cut off here and cut off here. All right, these can go in the garbage can. Not too terribly worried about the antenna at this point. Because one of these I'll use as the antenna side. And the other one I won't. I'm going to chop it here where it gets down to nothing. And the other one, how long of a section do I want this thing to be? It fits in there nicely. Same length over here, or so. Okay. Now we'll actually use super glue for this. We can use the thin one for this. Where's Mr. Tweezers? Which I would love to get a pair of rubber grips tweezers. I just haven't gotten a chance to do that. All right. Hey Kevin, what's up? This sprue is definitely old. It's lost its elasticity. Don't tell me there we go, there's both of them. I'm gonna attempt to do this like this. You're quick about it. And the other one's going to be here. There we go. And, oh, we need one more. We need one more. Ah. I've never used tweezers this much in my life. And it's actually pretty satisfying. This one. Okay. Whip antenna. That's the one that I can't drill in it. It must be some metal portion in there. Actually, we can use this fat portion and be fine with it. Because it fits in there just fine. Let me just cut this one tip off till it gets to about there. That should fit in there nicely. Nice. All right, let's check for length. And it doesn't have to be excruciatingly accurate. But it is about twice as high as the turret. So the top of the turret is about a third of the way here. So it's a third, another second part, and a third. So, right. So based on that, and if that's where it's going to sit, then I would like it to be another third, about right here. And now I've got two super glues. This is the thinner one. Shit, I could use my favorite glue. If it doesn't have a little bit of a bend, that works fine. Well, this is a hell of an improvement off of an armor cast Sherman. Armor fast per Sherman. Didn't hear how Tony's guns did. Yeah, I killed Joe and then lost the other two games. So, and then another tournament, they won one game and lost the other two. So they actually did better than I expecting, because I didn't think they were going to win any. But you just can't count on Light Horse doing their job when 9/12 of the Army is Light Horse. But I got them for scenarios. I didn't get them for competitive play. I mean, that was never going to be a thing. Look at this son of a bitch. That's awesome. It looks a hell of a lot better than this. So this thing's all glued together. We need to put it on. And this was, I believe, one of the first things that Armor Fast made, because it's actually 2002. An army you can relate to. 20 mil, you betcha. You should watch my unboxing there, Wardrobe. I just came back from a game convention, and they had 2 estate sales. Unfortunately, it's not like I want to celebrate someone not being around. I'd rather not buy the stuff. But you know, I got a whole bunch of tanks. I had a whole bunch of tanks to do. That's what I was doing anyways. So we're going to be doing WW2 stuff for a while, and I think for the rest of the year, I think details really made a difference. Yeah. So you know, Sherman's not really an attractive vehicle, and I want to give it some love. So, and they're probably all going to have nicknames. At least that's what I'm thinking of. I'm probably going to have to fudge the one of the most annoying things about American vehicles is they have this serial number down here. And, you know, I'm not going to go through the research of finding out exactly what the serial number of this particular vehicle is, which then some nerd burglar third class can find out that, no, it was actually in the Pacific, not in where I have it. So we're going to kind of write some numbers in there. And, oh, look, it's going to have mud splatter all over it, and you won't be able to see it really well. So, you know, that's at least what the plan is. How did I glue those sandbags on? Epoxy. And these are sandbags made by a company on eBay that I found called, let me see where the packaging is. It's over here. I wish I didn't have to put my freaking glasses on every time I tried to see something that was farther than a foot from my face. Value Gear. And this is the front logs specifically made for the Armor Fast M4s. You actually have to trim them up a little bit. Yeah. What rules you gonna play, or just modeling? Just modeling for now. But when it comes to rule, the face of battle, everything I haven't done World War II skirmish in 20 years, 25 years, and I come back and all the figures are out of production. My rules aren't made anymore. It's like the end of the world happened while I was gone. All I did was play DBA for two decades. What the hell happened? Well, I am a devout 20 millimeter 1/72 scale guy because I like all my Battlefield Finishers figures, and we're gonna have to redo their basing. I've done some of them. We don't have the sand and stuff on them yet. I mean, we don't have the grass and stuff on them yet, and they all have surnames on them, each guy. So, yeah. But right now for modeling. With the intention to play, not to just put them in a case and not doing a damn thing. We've done that with our life before, and that's really unsatisfying as far as I'm concerned. But we're not going to enter an IPMS thing, but we're going to give these guys some personality. Okay, so this guy's pretty much ready to be glued. I need to put a temporary something on him, and I'm thinking I'm going to epoxy one of these screws on the bottom, kind of like I did with this Panzer II. On a cork, so it gives me something to hold on to them. I think that's what I'm going to do. I got lots of corks. Might as well use a screw that hasn't been. I got a whole box of these damn things. Drywall screws. I'm a big fan of them. Okay, and we've got to find the center of gravity on this thing. And they're going to end up being on a stand afterwards. And that way I have something to hold on to the thing. All right, I got 2 super glues. Let's use the thicker one. And then they can just snap off. And it allows me also to clamp down on these helping hands or something like that. These helping hands things. These are actually really useful. But you need something to clamp onto it. And then we'll pop the thing off when we glue it on a stand. Panzers in the fog, gorillas in the mist. I thought about 20 mil, but really struggled to find buildings affordable for Western Europe. There is tons of stuff on 3D printed. I am dying to get that stuff, but I got to knock some stuff out. The fact that Tony was able to actually identify a tank that turret was from on the pile of rubble of resin terrain piece astounds me to no end. Really? Well, what else could it be? What else could that thing be? That was a little piece of resin from Miniature Building Authority, and there's all these little jerry cans and stuff. I mean, this speaks like freaking Battle of the Bulge. Remember the old 1967 Battle of the Bulge movie? And tires and stuff. What you're talking about is this turret that they made, and there's even a guy being crushed under a pile of rocks. And he's like damn near 20 millimeter. Let me take a look. What is he? Is he Soviet? I think he is. I'm going to paint him as Soviet because it is a Soviet vehicle. That's a T-26S turret. So the finish on this base, though, looks like a snowdrift. But I'm not a big fan of the bulge. I like snow things. I just don't want to. If I'm going to do snow vehicles, I'm going to do Wintergewitter. And I got a lot of stuff I could do for that. With all those Panzer 3Ls that I got. Yeah, I think this is pretty, well, let's not get bold. Let's stay humble. Okay, this guy's a different challenge because this thing weighs a lot because it's a Corgi. And this one's 1/76 scale. And I didn't think the turret was metal, but I guess it is. So we'll glue one afterwards, or we won't glue an antenna on this one. Okay, so we need that one to dry so that we can spray that black and start working from there. Okay. Let's take a look at something here. I did the corners on him. I cut this one, didn't do the corners there. Okay. Let's do that next. This back where this goes. But I have these, you know, these like die-cast half tracks. I bought these things 25 years ago. Paid, I don't know, $4 for them or whatever. And they scale out damn near 1/72 scale. That was just luck of the Irish right there. You love Battle of the Bulge, or the fact they used the wrong tank suck. Well, at least they didn't put an Israeli tank and put German markings on an Israeli tank. That's just unforgivable. That's just like bad form to the max. Okay, let's round this guy off. At least they used a vehicle that has a turret overhang, and it was bigger than the Shermans, which were Chafies. I don't know why they didn't use Shermans. They certainly had plenty of Shermans running around in '67. The battle sequences were filmed in Spain, so I didn't think the Spanish had M24s. I know they had the 47s. That was a movie growing up that it was always on TV. Therefore, we saw it. Because, you know, you just had to watch whatever they were playing. It's not like we had a million choices. Just check the current hurricane path. Looks like it's aiming rough in my hometown area between Cape Coral and Tampa. Oh, yeah. It's actually moved a little bit further south. It was, first it was going straight for St. Pete. And then it kept getting moved farther south. So, counter-clipping bases. Yeah, I don't like the edges. If I was a board gamer, and I have nothing against board games, you learn how to play the rules, and I'll come at your house and play the game. As long as the game looks good, I will play it. I just don't want to learn how to play the rules. I just don't have it in me anymore. It's go through all that trouble and then do it wrong, and it's an asterisk. An asterisk game means that, well, technically you didn't win. What do you mean? Well, you didn't. You played it wrong. Well, that's unsatisfying. Had a tournament this last weekend. Terminology came up a couple times. Somebody's like, "Oh, well, you were cheating." I said, "Well, you know, you're only cheating if you knew you were doing it wrong. If If you had every intention to do it correctly and just made a mistake, it's not cheating. Now, if you knew you were doing it wrong, yeah, you should be hung. That's close enough for government work, Detroit work. This one's so heavy, I may have to do it a little differently. I may have to goop the stand and paint it and then do it from that, because this is going to be so heavy and it's in parts. All right. This joker dry yet? Okay. And the antenna turned out really well. Okay. And just having these knickknacks back here really helped, I think, give it a unique look. Now, I thought I had other sandpaper that was a little bit more fine, and I may, but I really don't want to go look for it. I mean, hell, it's got the wrong track pattern. It's not an IPMS model, you know. It's not Chevron track. Where is this bag? Let's go ahead and put these bits away. Oh, sad. I love that game. What game? What did I miss? Space Empires. Never heard of it. Mine practically look like freaking octagons. Look like freaking octagons. Yeah, it wasn't a thing when I did board games. I didn't know about it. Nobody was doing it. There was no internet. We couldn't share ideas and go, man, those look really cool. What'd you do? I clipped the corners. Oh, I never thought about that. I do like how they look. But those counter clippers are expensive. Obviously, they don't work for this. One thing I don't like about games, counter games, like ASL, and I used to play a lot of ASL, is you'd have a scenario that'd say, oh yeah, it plays with board 2, but the hill is actually woods, and this is actually this other thing. I said, give me a freaking overlay that I can put on it, but just to squint my brain to try to play the game, I just, give me an overlay. Put on a good movie and settle in for a night of counter clipping. I can't do. If the TV's playing, I gotta be watching it. I can't have it in the background. I feel like I'm missing something. I'm missing the movie, or I'm missing this, or why did you bend down, you silly bastard? 4,000 counters. Wow, I'd rather go to work. Just kidding. I don't want to do either one of the two things. All right. Let's see how. What time is it? Almost 10. Let's see how. At 11, we get an update on the storm. And hopefully it moves farther down. Makes a big difference for us. Where is the... Here we go. This stuff. don't think I need to use spray paint because you can't get everywhere you want to. The Russian Front game I had was called, I think, Russian Front. I think so, but I think there might have been multiple games that have that name. And mine was the Avalon Hill one, and it was too zoomed out a level for me, honestly. It didn't look bad. It just didn't really do anything for me. Actually, I need to pour this on something. Probably. Well, we're going to do some American vehicles. I feel like they don't get much love. Everybody's in a hurry to do German shit. The German shit's cool, but somebody needs to fight the German shit. And I think a lot of the American hardware looks boring. So my purpose in this is to make it not look boring. All right, here we go. I hope this is cured enough. The super glue. The counters in the game, Field Commander Alexander, where the counters are basically rounded. When you punch them out, they're cut rounded. Yeah, those games look pretty cool. I just don't really want to play a solo game. I mean, maybe if you could play it while somebody's there with you, and then they can play it. Maybe there's some. We used to do that with Patton's Best. One person would run a crew of one tank, and then the other person would roll for the Germans and stuff like that. And that way, if something really cool happens, you've got somebody to share it with. And playing a game by yourself is just like, oh, you'll never believe this one thing that happened while nobody was watching. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I'll never believe it. Self-fulfilling prophecy. You're right. I didn't believe it. So we're not doing any tricks with this. We're not using any airbrush. I have no interest in buying an airbrush and going to the garage, which is freaking 90-something degrees out there with poor lighting and doing that. I think I am going to, over the winter time, you know, that week that we have that's not oppressive, try to make a teddy bear for a mat. I think. Don't hold me to it. There's enough videos on them. My biggest concern isn't doing it. It's finding a place that carries it. I'm thinking Joanne Fabrics probably has it. But that's the problem with seeing a lot of war games that look really cool. I want to play those. I don't want the war game. I don't want to play a war game that looks like crap. You know, it doesn't appeal to me. I'm like, well, if somebody else made a really pretty looking war game or war game table, why the hell can't I? So I don't get discouraged by other people really knocking things out of the park. I just feel like, oh, if that's how it's going to be, well, then I need to up my game. What games you're looking at in your collection? Well, I'm wondering what that old school tactical game is, but it just seems like it's probably just more the... I don't see for me getting my World War II appetite through one of those. I'd rather like play close combat, paint these vehicles. So I was reading some article one time that somebody says, well, you got to do it like this, or otherwise you can't reach the something or another later. And I'm sitting there thinking, oh, you don't know what I'm used to. If I can see it, I can reach it. If I can see it, I can reach it. So I'm used to painting really small things. These just got a lot bigger. So I'm going to try a technique that I saw someone do on a YouTube channel. If I like it, cool. I like how it turned out. I don't know that I wouldn't change it a little bit. But I am not going to go ultra realistic. You know, there's people that make the models that actually look better than the real vehicle. If you parked a vehicle next to it, the real one, you'd be like, yeah, that real one doesn't look real. I'm not going to go that route. I don't want to add dusting effects that go into the cracks. We're all going to do some dry brushing for... Why don't you want to stay straight? Don't make me yank you out. All right, time for some helping hands. I mean, it's in the title. That's what they're for. Now, this has a little knob on the bottom. That when you start working in plastic and you haven't in a long time, the first thing you notice is, oh, I got to be careful. I can really damage this. Aha. Well, that's why we put it on a cardboard. So we don't get this all over our cutting mat and have to look at these stains for a long time and drive me crazy. I'm a bit ADD about that. Get close to that machine gun, I better be careful. It's just a tiny little bit of spool. For Combat Commander, just check to make sure it has the core rules in it. So far, they haven't all been good. I really wanted to like Combat Commander. Most people dislike Combat Commander, so I've read, because there's no vehicle rules in it. I don't have a problem with that. I want to roll my own combat dice. I detest, and I've played it a couple times, and I like the randomness of it. And I like the scale of it, and I'm fine that there's no vehicles. I detest that I pull a card to look what's at the bottom of the card there in the corner, and then notice it's a Stuka attack that I don't get to use it as. It's just like somebody pulling the rug out from under me. And I'm sorry, I get enough of that stuff done to me at work. That just goes against my grain. Other than that, it's a cool game. They need to make a Combat Commander version that you can roll your own dice. I like rolling dice. I do. And I just don't think you get a good shuffle. Well, I also I can't shuffle worth a damn. Nor do I enjoy doing it. But that's my only gripe with Combat Commander. I played it a couple times, and I like that random stuff you can't control. Well, we're just going to have to wait for the antenna to dry a little bit to paint her up. I'm not worried about that part being primered anyways. Okay, so we're good there. And the other part is, see, I can do something like this. And we're not going to put any of the core color on tonight. We'll leave that for tomorrow. And we're not going to use enamels either. I ain't got time for that. I need to paint I need to paint them relatively quickly. I can't spend 12 hours on a vehicle or I'm not going to get anything accomplished. FYI, this U in Stug is pronounced the same as U in Stukas. Stug. Well, that's disappointing. I'm probably not going to get that right. I've called them Stugs my whole life. Stuggies. And as a matter of fact, the Stug I have is actually a Stug 3E. So it's perfect. I had to play the identifying game. So I've always called them Stuggies. So that one's a perfect. It's a Stug E. I don't know if I'm going to get it. I'll try, but I'm not going to make any promises. I'm a stupid American. They shouldn't have lost the war if they wanted me to pronounce it correctly. It's like the one guy that came on and he spoke Greek and it's like, no, the way you say Soloi is such and such. And I'm a Sealy. I'm like, I'm never going to call him that. Nobody's going to know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I guess I might as well paint. I needed to get this. I might as well paint the stuff that's missing here in this color. I let people pronounce things in Spanish all day wrong. So you just have to deal with my German mispronunciation. Stug. That's going to be an uphill battle, I can tell you already. All right. That's a hell of a lot better with a little machine gun there. You guys see that guy from Portugal that has all of his 1/72nd scale for rapid fire? I don't care for rapid fire, and I don't care for the stands that have an infantry stand that has only 2 figures on it. I mean, like, come on, you need to at least put 4 or something like that. But his freaking vehicles are insane. Like, P is pronounced P. Yeah, never let academics ruin your wargaming fun, since academics don't usually game anyways. Yeah, and they don't know how to name dinosaurs either. Bunch of losers. Wait. So, anyhow, I'm excited for this guy already. I can't believe this is an armor fast vehicle. Oh, well, I'm an idiot. I need to go in and do some other painting in other areas. Only thing I don't like about this surface primer is it really is hard to come off of brushes compared to other paint, but it flows really well into the nooks and crannies for those of us that like to black base. And they make it in other colors. They make it in Dunkelgelb and other such things. And I should be able just to rotate this. I missed all kinds of shit because I was just carrying on with you guys. Well, you know, the thing is if I'm not filming, I have an excuse to only do this for a little bit and walk off and do something else. All right. Now, what's going to suck about doing this thing is I have all this stuff glued on, so I'm not going to get a really good idea of what it looks like until I start painting all the packs and sandbags and all that stuff on it. I got to figure out what I'm going to do with this guy. How close does that right on there? Thinking about for gluing it down purposes. Okay, I can probably glue that there. And glue it there. And then once it's there, I can probably, let's see if I can do this correctly. I can probably do one of these. Let me just take this off. I can. Okay. So I need to glue these two halves together. Because there's no reason not to do that. Alright, let's go ahead and do that. I like this. I like working on two vehicles because it gives me an opportunity to, while nothing's happening on one or it's setting, I can at least keep moving the ball forward on the other one. There's I got a lot of stuff for like a late Eastern front. I just don't want to do something where I have to make SS units. They've got a lot of German infantry and none of it is SS, and I don't have a problem with them, but at some point I probably would like to do some camo smocks, but I got a lot of like Hungary stuff, you know, the counterattack. I found a lot of information on it recently. A lot of information. Oh, and I want to show you guys. Let me glue this guy together, and I want to show you guys something that I found out recently, and I kind of pulled something out and started messing with it, and you guys might get a kick out of it. Especially Nordic, who just loves anything Russian. I don't think it's going to touch anything there. I think the gluing points on this thing are very, very small. So I'm going to have to let this set overnight, I think. So we got some gluing points here. Okay, and on the opposite side, there are gluing points. And the reason I unglued this is I want the turret by itself, because you need to just move it gently so that not every time you move the turret, you're going to have a situation where you're going to rub the paint off. Let's put a goop there. And let's put a goop here. And if this doesn't work, then this might be one that I have to do the base first. Okay, and I'm going to enlarge that goop. Put a big old wad of epoxy right there. And a big old wad of epoxy here. These things are dangerous to take apart. We got to take a drill bit and drill that rivet, and then hope to God you don't take your finger off. I do not enjoy doing that one bit. That's not a fun time for me. All right, we're going to let this set, and then we're going to pull out that thing that Nordic is just dying to see. Lies and slander. You're enamored with the last stand of the British in France. Well, why don't the freaking French stand up for themselves? So this is, I was wondering who made this thing. I used to be able to find these online. And this is something that I picked up. It's an SU 100, and it's kind of big. It's supposed to be 1/72nd scale. And it's a company called Eagle Moss, which is a Russian company. And yeah, they didn't use those things until very late 1944. And they would be really good. These guys would be equivalent, like when the Jagdpanzer IVs went to having the Panther gun in them. The L70 cannon, about the same thing. They had about the same lifespan. So they're pretty late. But you can see they're relatively large. I think they're even bigger than 1/72nd scale. Because I've got all those T-34s that are 76 scale T-34s. They are the same hull. Again, this is for wargaming. So if they're close, it doesn't bother me that much. You know, let's put this guy together. He's actually really nice. Nice tracks and road wheels that are drilled out. I'm not going to put all the turret stuff on there, but they can kind of sit together next to each other. SHQ. That ain't too bad. Well, it looks a lot bigger there. Well, whatever. It's got a 100mm freaking gun. What'd you expect? But these used to be available online for about $10 a piece. But the interesting thing about it has a couple of shortcut things on there. This is a perfect vehicle for a skirmish game because it has no machine gun. So you have a 100mm gun, but it can't deal with infantry. Okay? I mean, you can fire an HE round at them, but you know, once you get you prefer white metal over plastics. Well, it certainly feels like oh, you like this sound? Yeah. Well, something kind of scared me, okay? There's a warning here that may contain lead. These items contain lead. Wash your hands. And I started thinking like, yeah, I don't know. I don't want to get freaked out. I've always worked with this stuff before and it wasn't a big deal. So I don't know why I'm worried about it in my old age. But these tracks have no center thing on them. They're literally like a rubber band, and they're glued here. And look at the road wheels on this. Look how thick they are. Yeah, this is a T-34-85, yeah. It is just one piece on there. So I'm probably going to paint these for a unit in Hungary in 1945. I'm not familiar enough with... I got so many T-34s, I can do some of them in winter and feel like, you know, I can risk them maybe not turning out as well as I might want them to. I've got a T-34-85, that's 1/72nd scale. And let's see if I can find it relatively easy. We can see how it scales out. I don't think it's complete. Or I encountered something, I'm not sure what the problem was, but I stopped working on it. Here it is. Yeah, there's actually nothing wrong with it. Yeah, this is a 1/72nd scale one. And this one's 1/76th. And the 1/72nd scale one, this U100 is basically the same size as it. So, yeah, look, I got no problem interchanging these in a game. You know, it's just a war game. So, anyhow, yeah. So talking about late Eastern Front, these guys would work in that. So, and I've got a JSU 122, one of the worst models I've ever put together. It's got all these things that go on it with horrible instructions and no little knickknacks that show where they go. So, we got some late war stuff. So, here's that other bunker I was telling you about that I had one of. And I got two of them. So, anyhow, we'll do some Shermans first. And see how that turns out. Yeah, I took one of the fenders off there. Give it a little bit of personality. I want to give them all of them a little bit different. That's a problem. Let's put that away. All right. Oh, here's those god-awful instructions. Look at this shit. It's vague where all the things go. Nothing's marked on there. Good thing I have the internet for references. And a lot of the pieces have some flash on it, but you know, made by, I don't even know. I remember getting this as soon as pretty close to like 1991 or something like that. So, yeah, that was the turret, the metal turret that hit the leg on the painting table, which is metal. Metallic. All right. F it. I'm gonna paint. I'm gonna keep painting. This glue on okay? So far so good. Okay, good. Let's leave that one attached. Let's put this one over here. And let's paint how someone suggested. And I may actually not like it this way. But let me get olive drab, which is brown violet. There's lots of different ways you can do it. I saw the end result with someone doing it this way. It looked pretty believable. Let me see if I can connect my other light. This computer's awesome, but it has a lack of ports. So I just lost my mouse. And okay. Now I can look at these and see if I can make out where. Brown violet, I bet it's over here. There it is. Brown violet. Okay. Turn this back off now. Eric, welcome. Yeah, I give metal miniatures a wash in water and dish soap and scrub them. Then after handling, I wash my hands. I've never washed a miniature. I don't plan on starting. It just seems like an extra step. One step too far. I guess I probably should wash them now. Hey, does hand sanitizer help? So I got the stuff down here. I make that sound and get you all excited. How's the weather down here? Nothing yet. We'll get another update at 11. If it keeps going the way it is, we're probably going to lose power, but look that up. See if hand sanitizers are good enough to get that stuff off of me. I don't want to die from that. I got way too much painting to do. All right. Brown violet. There's lots of different ways to do OD. This is just the one we're going to follow first. Some mineral miniatures have residues on them and the paint won't stick. Sometimes the brushing of the miniatures with dish soap polishes the details you may miss. Yeah, I don't do it because I'm too impatient and then I got to wait for it to dry. And, you know, that's the only reason I don't do it. And I've never done it. All right, so we're going to paint this overall olive drab, and then we're going to give them a series of washes afterwards, and then we'll come back and dry brush with this color again, and then lighten this color and dry brush some more till we're happy with it, and then we'll do weathering. Well, then we'll paint the tires and stuff. Then we'll do decals, which I rather enjoy doing. And then do some light weathering. Nothing crazy. But that airbrushing business isn't for me. I used to use an airbrush in the early 90s that wasn't mine, and it's just, you just spend too much time cleaning the damn thing. And in my case, I got to spray outside in the garage, and I live in a place that's too damn hot to go in the garage. Except winter time. All 3 days of it. But I've got to be able to skip some steps. You know, and I want it to look like a gaming piece. I want it to look equivalent to the way my figures look. My figures do not look like realistic people. They look like a graphic novel. And that's what I want my vehicles to look like. You may not want to do that. It's up to you, man. It's up to you. I watched a movie. I had never actually watched two movies I'd never seen before. I'd seen the first one, Saints and Soldiers, however long ago it came out. I didn't know that there was two other ones, Airborne Creed and The Void. And of course, I had to watch the first one again. And it was all right, actually. It was an okay movie. And the sequel to it was worse, and the sequel to that one was even worse. Not the sequel necessarily, but you know, the next one they made. Oh, the vehicles, the ones that they had the vehicles in, which was second and the third one, the vehicles they used were basically pristine. There was no dirt or anything. You could tell that they'd gotten off some reenactors, and the last one had some Hellcats in it, and I've never seen such clean Hellcats ever. No old dot filter. No, I don't believe in it. I don't think it's appropriate for wargaming. I don't care for it. I mean, it looks better than the real tank. Yeah, I'm not doing that. I'd never finish. Nobody would appreciate it. So you'll see what I come up with, and I bet it'll look plenty good for what I'm planning on using it for. It's still going to have lots of steps. But no oil dot filter. I won't. I'd never finish. I get bogged down in the details. Bogged down in the details. I remember when I used to do 1/35th scale models, a thing that just was really big was using pastels. You know, you'd grind them down on a piece of sandpaper, and you'd apply them on there, and that was the rage. Yeah. Yeah, I can't spend. My goal, obviously I had to build things to this, but if this thing was completely built, my goal is to not spend more than 4 hours on a vehicle. If I'm spending more than 4 hours on a vehicle, I'm doing something wrong. I'm never going to get through them. I need to just sell them now. So it needs to be something relatively mindless. Doesn't mean I want them looking like shit, but I've seen people how to paint videos, and it's literally 17 steps, or maybe even more than that. I don't have it in me. I think that antenna, oh boy, is just incorrigible. So we're gonna let this dry overnight. I'm gonna drop a brown filter on it we're gonna drop some Agrax Earthshade. And then we'll do this color again and then lighten it up some more, a couple times. Last one probably with brushes, and then paint the road wheels, paint the rubber on the road wheels, put the decals on. Yeah, I'm okay if some of this stays in the nooks and crannies. And if it has kind of a rough appearance, I'm all right with that. Now, I got a guy that I know that is probably one of the best painters out there, or I really enjoy his style. And he just posted some stuff recently that he did for Flames of War. But he's got this super intricate paint job for this game that is super basic. So I'm like, I just don't see what the point is. You know, to spend, I don't want to say museum quality, because it's better than the stuff that's in museums, you know, for a game system that's extremely generic, in my opinion. For, you know, somebody who's passionate about the Second World War. I never played Bolt Action, but I have a feeling I probably prefer Flames of War than to Bolt Action. Okay. That's where we are so far, and that's where we're going to stop. We'll do a filter. Yeah, well, we're just going to wash the whole damn thing, basically. We're not going to... We'll spot do the black if we need to, but the brown, we're going to do it, you know, all over. That's... Hey, I'm just following what somebody did, and I kind of like how they turned out. There's room. That's a good starting point where I can build up from there. So... Reenactment in California do second armor. They have several Shermans. Flames of War is a lot better than bolt action. I've played both. Yeah, see, bolt action is a scale of game I like, and they just don't do it the way, you know, it's too generic. Just like somebody asked me, said, "Did you ever play Phil Barker's World War II rules?" I said, "I'd rather quit gaming altogether." "Oh, it's a heavy tank. Which one?" "Well, it's a Tiger. Which one?" "Does it have the steel road wheels?" Come on, man. It's my thing. World War II is my thing. Okay, whatever color you're seeing, you're not going to see this, so. Yeah, so far so good. So far so good. Anyhow. Well, to be continued. This is the first Sherman, and I'll tell you what, it definitely looks very unique. It actually looks better now than before I painted it. That's a good first step. So, anyhow, thanks for stopping by, folks. We will continue the next time we continue on Sherman stuff. The problem with bolt action is your platoon can have a squad of airborne and a squad of marine. Yeah, no, that's stupid as hell. I'd quit gaming. That's not for me. All right.